Have you ever reached for your debit card, heart set on a celebratory dinner or that must-have outfit, only to be met with the dreaded insufficient funds notification? We've all been there. It can be a real mood killer, especially when that unexpected expense throws your entire financial plan into disarray. These days, a new wave of financial technology apps are emerging, promising to bridge the gap between your paycheck and your spending needs. One such app is floatme, which offers small dollar advances to help users avoid overdraft fees. But with so many financial tools available, you might be wondering, do banks themselves use floatme, or is it something entirely separate? The answer, like most things in finance, is not a simple yes or no. Banks themselves typically wouldn't use floatme directly, but that doesn't mean the concept isn't relevant to them. Let's dive deeper and understand how floatme and similar apps fit into the larger financial ecosystem, and how they might even be indirectly connected to your bank. Understanding floatme, a lifeline or a crutch. Floatme falls under the category of financial technology, or fintech for short. These apps leverage technology to provide alternative financial services, often targeting a younger, digitally savvy demographic. Floatme specifically focuses on what are called cash advances. Essentially, you can request a small sum of money from the app, usually up to $250, to cover an immediate expense. You then repay the advance, plus a fee on your next payday. Now, the key thing to understand here is that floatme isn't a bank itself. It doesn't hold your deposits or issue loans in the traditional sense. Instead, it acts as an intermediary, providing a stopgap measure when your bank account runs low. Why wouldn't banks offer this themselves? So, if there's a clear need for this service, why wouldn't banks simply offer cash advances themselves? There are a couple of reasons. Firstly, traditional banks tend to be more risk-averse. Cash advances, especially small dollar ones, can be risky for them. There's a chance you might not be able to repay the advance, leading to potential defaults and losses for the bank. Secondly, there's the matter of fees. Banks make their money through interest on loans and other services. Small, short-term advances like those offered by floatme wouldn't generate a significant amount of interest income for the bank to make it worthwhile. The administrative costs of managing these small advances might even outweigh any potential profit. The indirect connection. How banks might be involved. Even though banks might not directly offer services like floatme, there can still be an indirect connection. Here's how. Partnerships. Some banks might partner with fintech companies like floatme to offer their services to their customers. This way, the bank can provide a safety net to their account holders without having to manage the service themselves. Data analytics. Banks are increasingly using sophisticated data analytics to understand their customers' spending habits and financial needs. This data could be used to identify customers who might be prone to overdrafts and proactively recommend alternative solutions, including fintech apps like floatme. Floatme, a solution or a trap. While floatme can be a lifesaver in a pinch, it's important to be aware of the potential drawbacks. Fees. The fees associated with cash advances can be quite high, especially when considering the small amounts involved. Make sure you understand the upfront costs and repayment terms before using the service. Debt cycle. Relying too heavily on cash advances can trap you in a cycle of debt. It's important to only use these services sparingly and for truly unexpected expenses. The bottom line. So, do banks use floatme? Not directly, but they might be indirectly involved through partnerships or data analysis. More importantly, fintech apps like floatme offer an alternative to expensive overdraft fees, but come with their own set of considerations. Financial planning is key. The best way to avoid relying on cash advances is to have a solid financial plan in place. This includes budgeting your income, tracking your expenses, and building an emergency fund. By being proactive with your finances, you can minimize the need for these stopgap measures and achieve greater financial stability. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.